Authorities in Michigan have started something known as a prostitution diversion program that doesn't criminalize prostitutes when they get caught in sting operations, but instead diverts them to a program to help them get back on their feet. Now, there are some issues with this, and I'll get to that in just a second. But according to the Battle Creek Inquirer, which reported on this story first, the Prostitution Diversion Battle Creek program is designed for law enforcement and social agencies to work together to help women stop working as prostitutes. Now, the only thing about this that seems a little questionable on its face is that the women get caught in these sting operations, and then they're given the option. Either you get prosecuted or you take part in this diversion program where we take you to a church and you basically work with social workers. They're not working with priests and, hopefully they're not being given any religious doctrine. I've looked into this story. It doesn't seem like they're being forced into any kind of religion. So that's a good thing. But what they do is go to this church and then they work with governmental officials and employees in order to get them back on their feet so they don't have to go back to prostitution. The idea is to give them access to services like housing, substance abuse treatment, mental health treatment, job training, child care, health issues, and peer support. A lot of them have addiction problems, so, these officials are doing everything they can to kind of help them out, which I think is important.
What I think is ironic about this is that my fear, too, was that they were going to go to the church and that it was going to be like, oh, you should believe in our morals or whatever, when the vast majority are probably Christians to begin with. But the ironic thing is that they're not being brought to the church to sort of bow down to Christian morals because they don't need to. The whole program is based on Christian morals. The fact that prostitution is illegal is based on religious doctrine. There's no objective reason that a person shouldn't be able to have sex with someone for money. Many people do it informally anyway, and they're going to do it even if it's illegal. So that's why we have these laws, is because of the Judeo-Christian nature of our country.
No, you don't get it. People do legally exchange sex for money, and it's called pornography. As long as we get to
sugar daddies.
Yes,
sugardaddy.com.
Right. As long as we get to watch, and as long as you put a sweet little name to it, it's considered legal. But this underground sex market is an issue only because it is illegal and it doesn't keep people safe, right? When you create a black market with no regulations, then you do have women who are selling these services on the street, who put themselves in harm's way as a result. So legalizing it is the way to go. However, while it's illegal, I would much rather have the authorities give the women these options instead of immediately criminalizing them, which will honestly make their lives even more difficult should they want to get out of prostitution.
But how will the prison industrial complex keep making more profit year after year if you don't immediately if you don't throw these women in the jail immediately? It's ridiculous that we live in a country where more than 60% of our inmates in prison are in prison for nonviolent offenses, which can completely be changed by having more diversion programs like this one. And I don't even know why we don't do it. We do it for youths. Like there's been juvenile diversion programs set in place since the 70s, and they lead to great results of lower recidivism rates. Like, I don't know why we don't do it for all other nonviolent.
I think we've talked often about the ideology that drives our criminal justice system, aside from things potentially like juvie. And even in juvie, there's some locking them up sorts of forms of that. It's very much based on the idea that once you become an adult, if you commit a crime, you are a bad person, and we're going to punish you. It's not necessarily about rehabilitating you. And so I think that you probably think, like we do, that we should have a more European sort of criminal justice system that tries to lower those recidivism rates as opposed to just locking people up for as long as possible.
Look, it all kind of goes back to a similar theme that kind of delves into every single story that we cover. I mean, people have an incentive to criminalize and to lock people up, right? Prisons make money off of it. Correctional officers make money off of it. All of these people
Politicians look tough on crime in more conservative constituencies. They look better.
The church is probably being paid to use their space for this.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know for sure. There's a possibility it's charity.
But at the end of the day, it's always money in politics. I mean, you might have common sense policies like diversion, programs and things like that.
Okay,
but
Jank.
At the end of the day, people make less money.
Wolf-back.com.
Don't make fun of it. It's true.
I know. I'm sorry. He always Oh, come on.
Because it involves every single issue.
I know, but is there one Twitter storm? No, I agree with it. But is there one Twitter storm?
Why we don't do more diversion programs? What's happening? because there are vested interests that basically prevent diversion programs from being developed.
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah. By the way, good commentary. Like, I wasn't making fun of you. I'm just trying to explain like what's happening behind the scenes.